This week, I'm going to look at installing LED replacement lights into headlamps designed for halogen bulbs and review the LASFIT LED H11 replacements.
So full disclosure, LASFIT sent these to me at no cost. They asked me to install them in my car, see what I think, and provide an impartial review. So that's what I'm going to do.
These are replacements for the low beam bulbs in my car, which normally use an H11 halogen bulb. From the part number, these LEDs appear to work for H8, H9, H11, and H16 bulbs.
I've never installed LEDs in any of the light fixtures on this car, so this will be a first. Well, before I get around to installing the new LED headlamps, we should do some testing and see what the old ones look like so we can compare.
These are the halogen bulbs I'm currently running. They're one step up from the cheapest, most basic H11 at Napa.
Alright, this is my old halogens. Alright, here we're on a street with no streetlights. We're at 4000 ISO. F2 and 1/60th of a second is the exposure. Alright, here I'm facing some sort of like steel cargo container. The driver's side is pretty simple. The low beam is behind a compartment that is right next to the battery here. Just takes a little twist to pull that out of that. And there it's in. Put the wiring back in. Place the cover. Simple as that. So there's the first one. It's in, it's working. You can see even in daylight, you can see the difference in color. That is significantly sort of whiter, bluer, I guess, than the halogen. The passenger side is slightly more complicated because you have to remove this air intake piece, but it's just a couple of clips. It's very easy. And I don't have the original stock clips in this anymore. These are aftermarket clips. That's why they may look different from what you have. It's basically the same thing over here on this side. There's a little cover that you just give a twist and pull off. Twink.
The connector on the LED pigtail snaps right onto the connector the halogen bulb plugs into.
Simple as that. Simple as that, and it's done.
Alright, let's go for a drive with the LEDs and see how they compare to the halogen bulbs I had in there before.
Alright, gonna try to hit the same spots with the LEDs installed now. Try to remember where I went. Here's that street with no street lights. It's hard for me to tell just looking at it like that. We'll have to see when the two clips are side by side.
Here you can see the LASFIT LEDs are definitely hitting that steel container with a lot more light. There's no question these are brighter than my old halogen bulbs. So I could have stopped the video there. We've seen the lights, we've how easy they were installed. They definitely make a difference on the road. They're brighter, you can see better, no question about it. In fact, it's almost like driving with your brights on. In fact, other people seem to think so too. And that's my concern. It's nice to have more light on the road, but you don't want to have more light on the road at the expense of blinding oncoming drivers. It's not only is it inconsiderate, it's a safety issue. I mean, you want the people who are driving towards you at whatever speed to be comfortable and be able to see also. Here I've got the camera set up in the driver's seat of a Toyota Camry to represent a typical passenger car on the road and see if there's a difference in how much glare is hitting oncoming drivers. This obviously isn't a perfectly controlled scientific experiment, but with the camera running the same exposure setting for both passes, we should be able to perceive if there's a difference in the light. The LEDs do seem to flare out more, though again, while I've done what I can to create a fair comparison, I can't claim this to be perfectly scientific. I'll let you draw your own conclusions from what you see. Now I'm sitting in the driver's seat of another small SUV that's about the same height as my Forester to see how those LEDs look in another driver's mirrors. I do find them a bit obnoxious, kinda like having someone with high beams on right behind you. The car on the right has headlamps designed to run LEDs. Looking at these side by side, it's obvious that the LEDs in my halogen reflectors are blasting out an inappropriate amount of light for low beams.
Alright, last thing I'm going to do here is drive around for a while and find some more traffic. See if anyone flashes their lights at me because they think I'm driving with my brights on. I didn't do that with the halogens, but no one ever flashes me when I'm driving around town with my low beams on.
So after going out and doing all of the testing with LEDs and discovering that they make an awful lot of glare, I did do some research on fitting LEDs into headlight housings that were designed for halogens, and the pretty overwhelming consensus is that it's a bad idea. You can Google a bit and do some reading for yourself.
So these housings are designed for halogen bulbs, which have a filament in them that creates light out in all directions in a very sort of strong, almost pinpoint. You can see the contours in there are designed to shape and focus, reflect the light in a way that provides safe illumination, but also doesn't blind oncoming drivers. Here is a typical LED replacement lamp. You can see that there's an LED emitter right there, an LED emitter on the other side, but nothing along the top and the bottom. Now, just because the LED emitters are only on the side, that doesn't mean it puts out less light. Quite on the contrary, the thing obviously puts out way more light than those halogen bulbs. The problem lies in the fact that they put out light in a different way than the halogen bulbs do, and they don't interact with the reflectors the way the reflectors were designed to receive light. It's not to say anything bad about this particular LED. It's just that in general, the idea of putting something like this into something like this may not be the wisest or safest choice. One of the arguments that I've read is that because the LED doesn't interact with the reflector the same way halogen does, it may actually not create a proper field of light on the road for you. And I don't know, that may vary from brand to brand. I found that the LASFIT LEDs absolutely positively illuminated the road better than the halogens did. I could, without question, I could see better. I felt like I could see farther. I could see better farther and closer. Overall, I could see better. You could also drive through town at night with your high beams on and see better, but that doesn't make it okay. That's where the problem lies. There may also be a question of legality. From what I've been able to read, I think technically that an LED replacement like that is not actually legal or not approved by the Department of Transportation. Obviously, lots of people are running them and not getting into trouble. When you're sharing the road with other people, you do have to think beyond your own convenience and pleasure. Everyone would love to have more light when they drive around at night, but if everyone did, we'd all be blinded. So, there has to be a balance that's drawn in some way. Ultimately, your own safety comes into play as well. If someone coming towards you at 45, 50 miles an hour is blinded and panics or responds in some way or sees something at the last minute and swerves into your lane, you're potentially endangering yourself as well by blinding other drivers.
So I was excited and flattered to get asked to review a product, have a product sent to me. So I really wanted it to go well. I wanted to be able to install the lights and enjoy them and be able to tell you good things about them and recommend them. But I'm just not convinced. I really wanted to like this product, especially since it's the first time, probably the last time, anyone will ever send me a product to review. I did talk to LASFIT about the fact that I was seeing a lot of glare and that oncoming drivers thought I had my brights on and were flashing me. And they explained to me how to orient the LEDs in the fixture. As it turns out, that's the way I had them already. And then they suggested completely re-aiming the headlamp housings, and it doesn't make any sense that you should have to do that. And ultimately, I'm not convinced that's going to make much of a difference anyway. A minuscule amount of tilt is not going to change the fact that these things just simply glare with a blast out in all directions. There's a lot of good things to say about LEDs. They consume less electricity out of your electrical system. They last probably forever. You probably never have to replace them once they're in. And as we've seen, the light is very nice. I mean, no question about it. You can see really nicely with those installed in your headlamps. If I could get an LED replacement for the high beams, that would be a whole other story, because you only have those on when no one is driving towards you. So there, why not? Backup lights as well would be a really good candidate for an LED replacement. My backup lights don't give me nearly enough light, especially with the tinted windows back there. I'm pretty sure LASFIT makes LED replacements for backup lights. I don't know if they make them for this particular car or not, but I wouldn't hesitate to put an LED replacement into my backup lights. Another great candidate for an LED replacement would be interior dome lights. The interior lights in this car are terrible. Alright, so where does that leave us? Well, LASFIT asked me for an honest review, and that's what I'm doing. They're clearly a quality, well-made product. They make a lot of lights. Definitely see better with them installed, but personally, I'm not comfortable with the amount of glare they make for oncoming drivers. So I'm taking these for one last drive, but when I get back, I'm going to take the LEDs out and I'm going to put my halogen bulbs back in. My neighbor with the JDM Toyota fire truck. Pretty cool little rig. We're going to take a closer look at one of these days soon.